Debt is everywhere. Whether it's a mortgage, student loan, car payment, or credit card balance, debt can feel overwhelming. It's stress, missed opportunities, and a barrier between you and the life that you want. But what if I told you that there is a way to take back control, save money, and reclaim your peace of mind? In this video, I'll show you how to take charge of your debt, pay it off faster, and save thousands in the process. We'll start with a simple but powerful tool: building your own debt amortization schedule in Excel, step by step, to demystify the mechanics of debt. After that, I'll walk you through 4 proven strategies to pay off your debt faster, saving you years of payments and thousands in interest. We'll then compare these 4 strategies so that you can choose the one that suits your situation the best. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools and knowledge to transform your financial future. Let's start with a blank Excel spreadsheet. I'm using Excel, but feel free to use Google Sheets or any similar application of your choice. To build an amortization schedule, we have 5 inputs. First is the principal, which is the amount of money that you're borrowing. Second is the interest rate for the particular debt. Third is the amortization period, which is typically the number of years it takes to wipe out that mortgage. The fourth is the payment frequency, which is typically monthly. And finally is the payment amount. Let's take the example of a mortgage for $500,000 with an interest rate of 5%, an amortization period of 30 years, a payment frequency of monthly. So we will make 12 monthly payments, and the payment amount, which can be calculated using the payment function, so PMT, and then open brackets, and it has a bunch of inputs. The first of which is the interest rate. And what we need to do is, this interest rate of 5% is per annum, and we need to convert that to a monthly figure. And so we would take the 5% rate and divide that by the payment frequency. Next is the number of payments. In this case, the number of payments would be the amortization period multiplied by the number of payments or the payment frequency. In this case, that's 12. So that would be 30 times 12. And the third input is the present value, which is the principal balance of $500,000. Fourth input is the future value, which is 0, because that would be the value of this mortgage at the end of 30 years. And the final input, we don't need to worry about that, close brackets, and we get $2,684 per month. To build out the actual table, the first column is the number of months. The second column is the beginning balance. The third column is the payments. Fourth column is the interest paid. And the last column is the ending balance. For number of payments, we need to come back up here to the input section. 30 years is the amortization period, and that results in 360 monthly payments to extinguish this particular mortgage. And so we need to create 360 separate rows for this amortization schedule. So extend that down all the way through to 360. Just even out these columns a bit so we can see all the descriptions clearly. The beginning balance would be the $500,000. Payment is the $2,684. Interest is the beginning balance multiplied by the interest rate that is converted to a monthly figure. So you take the 5%, divide by 12, and I'm going to convert both of those references to a permanent reference by pressing function F4. If you are on Windows, you just need to press F4. And so that gives us an interest paid of $2,083. And the ending balance is your beginning balance plus your payment plus your interest paid. Coming to row 2, the beginning balance is your ending balance from the row above. Your payment is the same as above, and you can copy the formula for the interest paid and the ending balance down to row 2. Once you have row 2 set up, you can just copy and paste this formula or just extend it by double-clicking at the end all the way down to payment 360. And a quick way to know that this amortization table was built correctly is that your ending balance should be 0. Now coming back to the top here, I'm going to add another column outside of the amortization schedule called principal paid, because I want to determine how much of my monthly payments is going towards interest and going towards principal. So the principal paid would be the total payments per month plus the interest paid during that month. So I'm really only paying $600 towards principal in the month one payment. I want to see what that is as a percent of the total payments. So that would be the $600 divided by the total payments. Let's convert that or format that to percentage, extend out these columns just to make it a little bit more pleasant, and extend this formula down to 360 rows, or 360 payments, sorry. So that is your amortization schedule. And there's a couple of things that we can notice right off the bat. One is that in the initial stages of the mortgage, most of the payment is going towards interest. For example, we're only paying down 22% of the payment towards principal in the first installment. It's not until we get closer to payment 360 that the bulk of the payment is going towards principal. So that's an important point to note. The second important point to note is what happens if I just zero out the payment. Obviously, we have some formula errors here, but just ignore that for the time being. What you will notice is that if you zero out the payment, which effectively means that you don't make any payments towards your mortgage, but interest is still being calculated, you will notice that the ending balance is actually increasing in value. And if you go to month 360, that initial balance of $500,000 has ballooned all the way up to $2.2 million. What this is showing us is that if you don't make payments towards your debt, interest is going to continue to pile up. And this particular type of debt where the interest piles up and is added to the principal balance is also called a negative amortization loan. Not all lenders will allow you to do a negative amortization loan. Some lenders will force you to make payments to continue to reduce your overall mortgage, to reduce the balance, or at a minimum, make enough payments that your ending balance never exceeds your initial principal balance. Now, why is this important? This is important in particular to student loans. We've all seen examples out in the internet or in your own personal life of people who maybe started out with a certain amount of student loans. Let's say it's $50,000 loan, and they make the bare minimum required payments for 5-10 years. And at the end of 5 or 10 years, that $50,000 has ballooned to $80,000. It feels like none of the payments that they've made, and they might have made significant amounts of payments over that 5-10 years, maybe equal to the initial principal balance of that particular student loan, but they've made no movement, and in fact, the balance has actually increased. Why? Because of negative amortizing loans like this. You have to make payments that at a minimum satisfy the interest charge. Ideally, you want to make payments that are far beyond the interest charges so that you can pay down your loan faster. Now that we know what a negative amortizing loan is, let's reset the schedule and let's add a sum function above the table here to track the total amount of payments that we are making, and copy that formula over to the interest paid and to the principal paid column. And let's add a summary section to track the payments made, the interest charge, and the duration of the particular methodology. This will be useful when we start tracking the different strategies that we can deploy to pay down your debt faster. Strategy 3 and strategy 4. And in this case, the total payments that we're making is 966, total interest is 466, and the duration is 30 years. With that said, let's jump into strategy 1, which is making extra payments. For this strategy, I'm going to add an extra column after interest paid and call that extra payments. Let's say you had an extra $100 that you wanted to add on top of your regular monthly payments. Take $100, extend that out to 360 payment cycles, and modify the ending balance formula to capture the extra payment. Also, I want to extend this sum function out to the extra payments column and modify the principal paid to capture this extra payment, and extend both the ending balance, the updated formula, all the way to the bottom, and extend out this principal paid formula all the way to the bottom. Now, if we go to month 360, we know that there is something different about the calculation here. If we just scroll up a little bit, we notice that this mortgage gets paid down entirely between month 331 and 332. And that's because we're making that extra $100 of payments on top of the regular monthly payment. Now let's update the sum function up at the top. Let's update the sum function up at the top here and copy that over into the interest paid, the extra payments, and the principal paid. And let's update the summary section. The total payments made is the $891 plus the $33, and the total interest is the $423. And the number of payments we made to satisfy or to wipe out this debt is 332 payments, which equates to 27 years and change. So how much in payments did we save by adding an extra $100 each month? That would be the $924 minus the $966. So we saved $41,955 in payments, and it should be a very similar figure in terms of the interest saved as well. And in terms of the duration, we shaved off 2 years and change in the duration of this particular mortgage. The second strategy is to double your monthly payments. In this strategy, let's wipe out the $100 of extra payments and instead equal that to the monthly payments that you're making and extend that all the way down. And similar to the previous strategy, this particular mortgage is also getting paid off much faster. In fact, it's getting paid off in month 119, between month 118 and month 119. So let's update the formula up top here to capture the new payment information to extinguish this debt. The duration is 119 payments, so divided by 12, so that's 9 years, just under 10 years to pay off this particular debt based on the doubling of monthly payments, and the total payments is 319 plus the 319, and the interest charge is 134. And so in terms of our savings, we are saving $327,000 in payments, and it should be a similar figure in terms of the interest saved, and we see that. And we save 20 years in the debt timeline by simply doubling the monthly payments. The third strategy is to make annual prepayments. This strategy works on the basis that some lenders let you make prepayments of lump sum cash against your mortgage up to a certain dollar value every single year. For example, my lender let me make prepayments of up to 15% of the initial principal balance every year. So let's say you received a bonus at work of $50,000 every year, and you want to apply that $50,000 against your mortgage in month 12. How would that impact the amortization schedule? So coming back to the table here, let's remove the extra payments, and we're making 0 payments in month 1 through 11, and in month 12 we are making a $50,000 prepayment. And if we copy that over to the remainder of the table below, we will notice that the ending balance starts to reduce quite dramatically with each $50,000 payment. And we don't need to keep doing this for too long, because in a very few iterations of this methodology, we come to month 96, or actually effectively month 95, this debt has been paid off in its entirety. There's a small $2,500 balance at the end of month 95, but within the first few weeks of month 96, that debt gets completely paid off. So just for the sake of argument, let's assume that this debt gets paid off in month 96. Let's go up and update the sum function to see what impact this has had. Copy that formula over. Duration is 109 payments. Total payments is 257 plus the 400. Interest paid is 107. Total savings from a cash perspective is $308,000. And it should be a similar amount in interest charges. It's a little bit off just because most of the debt actually gets paid off in month 118, and so it's just the imprecise nature of what we're capturing here. If we split the difference and we look at it between month 118 and 119, these two numbers should be much closer, if not the same. And in terms of duration, we shaved off 20, let's call it 21 years. We shaved off 21 years off the life of this particular loan, which is a sizable amount. The fourth strategy is to change the payment frequency from monthly to a rapid bi-weekly cadence. In this strategy, we are utilizing the number of weeks in a year to our advantage. So there are 52 weeks in a year, and if we convert to a rapid bi-weekly cadence, that results in 26 bi-weekly payments. Now, why is this important? If we make 26 payments during the year, that effectively results in the equivalent of 13 monthly payments. We are effectively making one extra monthly payment if viewed from a monthly cycle perspective. With that said, let's just go back to the inputs and make sure that the payment amount is being calculated correctly. The payment function takes the rate, so 5% divided by 26. That's correct. The number of payment frequency, or the number of payment periods, is the amortization period of 30 multiplied by 26. The principal present value is 500,000. The future value is 0. And that is correct. But we do need to make a modification to the actual table itself. Right now, the table has 360 rows. But to convert to a rapid bi-weekly frequency, we need to have 780 rows. So going back to the bottom of the table, let's just extend this out to 780. Next, let's remove all of these extra payments. Go to the bottom of the table, select the last row, and extend this out to 780 payments. And we know that this amortization table is correct because the ending balance is 0. Next, we need to update the sum function here to capture the total number of payments for the revised payment frequency and extend this formula out to the interest paid, the extra payments, and the principal paid. Coming to the summary section, the duration is 780 bi-weekly payments, which translates to 30 years. The total number of payments is 965. The total interest paid is 465. And in terms of the amounts saved, that would be $466, which is quite insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And it's a similar story in the interest saved as well. And there's really no change in the duration because it takes a full 30 years to pay off the mortgage. So what does the summary section actually tell us? It's informing us that the best strategies to deploy are doubling your monthly payments and to make annual prepayments. And I recognize that not everybody has the ability or the capacity to double their monthly payments all the time, or has access to large lump sum amounts of cash to make annual prepayments. So you can actually deploy any one of these strategies or a combination of them that suits your lifestyle or your financial situation to whittle down this mortgage and pay it off faster and save interest in the process. For example, I used the strategy of doubling the monthly payments and making lump sum annual prepayments to pay down my mortgage within 8 years. And at the end of the day, these 4 strategies operate on the variation of one common principle, which is to make extra payments. And extra payments contribute fully towards paying down your principal. This makes it potent in increasing the speed at which your mortgage is paid off. And by increasing the speed of payment, you are also then decreasing the amount of interest that you pay. But a quick word of caution. Before you deploy any of these 4 strategies, check with your lender to see if you are even allowed. The last thing you want to do is be offside on the terms and conditions of your loan. So hopefully you were able to follow along and actually build this schedule with me. If not, I will have a version of this template, a cleaner version of this template, in the links below for you to download and test out for yourself. If you found this video useful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.